What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we're taking a look at an insane new Warlock build for Season of Defiance. A spectacular build that allows you to sling solar grenades like hotcakes. This build has remarkable regeneration of not only your grenades, but your melee, class ability, and super as well. This build will be absolutely perfect for jumping into raids, dungeons, nightfalls, you name it. This build features the exotic gauntlets called Sunbracers, which comes with the intrinsic trait called Helium Spirals. This grants solar grenades the intrinsic trait of Fastball, which increases the maximum distance grenades can be thrown. When defeating an enemy with a charged melee, Helium Spirals provides you with a 5-second window to throw as many solar grenades as possible. And because of how we have this build set up, you'll be able to continuously re-trigger Helium Spirals, getting those spammable grenades back instantly. This is great for melting large groups of adds or demolishing champions and bosses. And thanks to several additions that Lightfall brought to the Solar class tree, along with a new seasonal artifact, this build is stronger than it ever has been. Before we break down the logistics of this build, if you do end up enjoying today's video and finding it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated. When it comes to our Solar class tree, we are going with the Solar aspect called Touch of Flame. This increases the duration of your solar grenades, and causes them to spit out blobs of lava, allowing you to apply more damage to your targets, and is perfect to pair up with Sunbracers. The second aspect is really dealer's choice. Heat Rises does provide regeneration of your melee energy, but at the cost of consuming a solar grenade. This also forces you to be in the air, which is less than ideal when in more challenging activities. With how we have the rest of this build set up, Heat Rises really isn't going to be needed. Icarus Dash will be beneficial for mobility purposes, but it's not going to provide us with anything further outside of giving us 2 aspect slots. For grenade choice, we're obviously going with solar grenades, since we're using Sunbracers. When it comes to melee choice, we have either the Incendiary Snap or Celestial Fire. Each has its advantages and disadvantages. Celestial Fire has a longer range and is more accurate, but the Snap deals out more scorch and has a higher likelihood of causing ignitions. So it will really depend on your playstyle and activity as far as which you should choose. For solar fragments, we're going with Ember of Searing. This is going to provide us with a lot of melee energy, which we'll need to trigger Helium Spirals. Ember of Searing provides melee energy when defeating scorched enemies. It will also provide us with a Fire Sprite. Fire Sprites intrinsically provide 10% grenade energy when collected, but there is a 5-second cooldown between activation. Ember of Searing will provide 8% melee energy for each Tier 1 combatant defeated, and upwards of 25% energy when defeating champions and bosses. We're using Ember of Ashes, which is going to double the amount of scorch that gets applied to enemies, causing ignitions much faster, and will also help at getting melee energy back much quicker. We're using Ember of Resolve, which is going to apply Cure and give us 60 points of health whenever we defeat an enemy with a grenade, which we should be able to trigger fairly often. To add to this health regeneration, we're using Ember of Mercy, which is going to give us restoration whenever we collect a Fire Sprite. This will provide 40 points of uninterrupted health regeneration over a 2-second time frame. Now that we've addressed the Solar class tree, let's talk about the armor mods that we're using with this build. We are using a few of the Season of Defiance artifact mods, including the authorized grenades and authorized solar mods, which will reduce the energy cost of those associated armor mods. We're also using Solar Surge. This is going to give us 1 armor charge every time we collect a Fire Sprite. Shatter Orbs can be very effective at creating orbs when breaking combatant shields with a matching energy type. In terms of armor itself, Starting with helmets, we're using ashes to assets. This is going to help regenerate our super after defeating enemies with grenades. Well of Radiance is already the fastest recharging super in the game, so this is going to really cut down that time. We're also using a solar siphon mod to generate orbs after defeating enemies with solar weapons. For gloves, we're going with firepower, which will create orbs when defeating enemies with our grenades. We're also using momentum transfer. This is going to provide us with 20% melee energy whenever we hit an enemy with a grenade. It does have a 7-second cooldown, but will be vital towards getting melee energy back very quickly, as will the use of melee kickstart. Whenever our melee is fully expended, melee kickstart will consume any available stacks of armor charge, providing you with melee energy in exchange. The amount of energy will be based on how many kickstart mods you have and how many armor charges are being consumed. This can provide between 12 and 50% energy. For chest armor, I'm using elemental resistance mods along with ammo reserves. But if you feel as though you need the additional armor charges, I would encourage to use charged up to increase how many armor charges you can have active at once. To the same token, the stacks on stacks mod can be great for leg armor, as it will provide you with 2 stacks of armor charge instead of 1 whenever collecting an orb. We're currently running with the Better Already mod for additional health regeneration whenever we collect an orb, but the Invigoration mod can be just as effective with this build, as it will provide you with 10% melee energy whenever collecting an orb. For class item, we're going with 2 Outreach mods. This is going to provide us with 20% melee energy whenever activating a rift, and 25% for the use of 2. We're also running the Reaper mod, which will generate an orb when defeating an enemy after using our class ability. Alternatively, the Time Dilation mod can be great to use to extend the duration of your armor charges, and it'll be great for those running weapon surge mods or any fonts. Speaking of weapons, I've become especially fond of the Prometheus Lens Trace Rifle, which you likely noticed based on all the special and solar ammo mods. Prometheus Lens recently received some reworks, making it significantly more impactful with its ability to scorch targets. Akesha's Dejection is another new trace rifle that is proven to be very strong, which can come with Envious Assassin, Target Lock, or Incandescent. The Sunshot Exotic Hand Cannon can be very effective with this build, as can the Polaris Lance. Weapons like the Callus Mini Tool, the Trustee, the BXR Battler, or Zaoli's Bane can all be formidable weapons to pair up with this build. Whether you're looking for a great build for crowd control or DPS, this Sunbracers Warlock build will be absolutely perfect throughout Season of Defiance. So I encourage you all, if you have not already, check this amazing new Sunbracers build out for yourself and let me know what your thoughts are about it in the comments below. With that being said, I wish you all the best of luck throughout the rest of this season and throughout Lightfall. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran just looking for a new home, be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.